it's new in the sense that it's there's 40 new images from the hardcover, and for me, I actually like this product better because the first one was put together in a 4-month period, and the bulk of it was put together in a 4-month period. A lot of it came from several years of photography that I didn't realize I was doing a book. But this one, I had a year and a half in between, and the body of the work was already done. Now I filled it out and got places I didn't have. I didn't have Hawaii at all in the first book. Now I have a lot of Hawaii in this. So this is, in my opinion, a better product from the last one, though I'm still very much proud of the first one too. What I see is that the parks have become isolated little islands of conservation, and so now you have everything building right up to the borders, casinos, gateway towns that are completely out of control because wherever you get 100 million visitors, you're guaranteed to have business, and so business is kind of building up along the entrances. And so, you know, in a way, there was so much foresight in creating these parks before there was urban sprawl, which to me is mind-boggling that someone would say, hey, we should put this aside for future generations at a time when the West had more land than anyone could ever fill. Yeah. That was great foresight, but now what's happened is we've isolated those little patches. So I think we need to start looking at a landscape scale type of conservation or some sort of contiguous pieces of land where animals can move freely between places and not just looking at let's just protect Old Faithful.
Mm-hmm. You're going to places and taking photographs from places that have literally been photographed, you know, hundreds of thousands of times before by professionals and amateurs.
Right.
And so what's your key when you go in there and try to get a new perspective on something?
It's challenging. It takes a lot of time. It takes an investment of time more than anything. It's, you know, a great photograph really can not just be about what the subject matter is in a literal sense, but also what's happening around that subject at that time. And so the weather plays a critical role in that. The weather, the seasons. I've also focused a lot on how people interact with the landscape, not in a close-up way, but you know, I like to put a person somewhere in the shot, very small, or somehow tie in the experience and give some sort of human interaction with the landscape, because we have an interaction with the landscape, especially in the national parks. But for me, you know, the approach is always to get off the trails as much as possible, you know, go or get down the trails anyway as much as possible. You get a mile in, you lose most park visitors, and so I look for new landscapes and new opportunities in those places. So looking at weather, getting farther in, getting off the beaten track, but I was also fortunate enough that the nonprofit that I work with, the National Park Conservation Association, they have put me on these assignments that I've also gotten to experience the parks in ways that other people have never had the opportunity to do. I've actually seen their submerged archaeological resource crew work out on Lake Mead. I got to be part of search and rescue on Mount McKinley. You know, I was the first photojournalist ever to go up and see what they do as National Park Service rangers and climbers, as well as documenting Mount McKinley from the slopes, whereas most photographers would photograph it from the valley below, or you know, maybe land on a glacier for an hour or something like that. I spent 3 weeks on the glacier climbing up. So, you know, those types of perspectives, sometimes you just got to take yourself out of your comfort zone too, which is a hard thing to do. Even as often as I do it, I still have to push myself and challenge myself to do that. And I used to have a fear of the water when I was younger in oceans, and now I photograph regularly underwater. So, you know, you have to, you know, I'm not dumb about it. I learn and I take time doing the process, but I also take myself out of my own comfort zone on a regular basis. And we're also producing a new show for kids, more or less, or young teenagers and teenagers, to bring the outdoors to a new generation as well, because we really want to find a balance in it's not just, you know, the average age of a lot of people who spend their time in the outdoors is people who are already retired and they're finally going after the thing that they wanted to do. But I loved it. I've loved it as a kid, and I know a lot of people do too. And we want to make people aware that these places are right in their backyard. You know, you go to Miami. If you live in Miami, it's a big city. You've got the Everglades. If you're in Los Angeles, you've got the Channel Islands and Yosemite. If you're in Dallas, you've got Big Bend. It's not that far away. You've got other places you can go to, and people forget that. And I think that it's a great foundation for just so many things, from just being healthy to feeling good and bonding with friends, family, things like that. And so we're putting together a program at the end of March with a few actors who have a great following from the TV show One Tree Hill. And we're going to produce a piece that will hopefully bring the outdoors to a whole new generation.